Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Squadron Leader Bruce Chalmers. We warmly welcome the family of Private Noel Daniel Maher, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Please sit if you can do so. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the hearts of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Noel Daniel Maher. Noel Maher was born in Mullumbimby in the Northern Rivers region of New South Wales on the 16th of December 1923. The son of Daniel and Sophie Maher, Noel had 6 siblings: Mary, William, Patrick, Mercia, Veronica and Paul. Noel spent his early years at Mullumbimby, growing up in a house on Station Street next door to his cousins. His maternal grandfather, dairy farmer Bill Hyland, had built 3 houses in a row on Station Street for 3 of his married daughters and their families. During the Depression, Noel's father, Daniel Maher, worked as a labourer on the railways. In 1937, Dan Maher was offered a full-time job as a fettler based at Chocola, near Cooma. The Maher family moved from the warm, lush New South Wales north coast to the bleak plains of the Monero in the state's south. The family later moved to Wollongong. As a teenager, Noel was employed as a clerk in the office of a local garage in Cooma when he was called up for the militia on the 9th of September 1941. On enlisting in the army, his year of birth was given as 1922 rather than 1923, so he was not yet 18 years old when he enlisted. He served as a trooper in the 7th Light Horse, a motorised light horse unit raised with men from the Canberra Goulburn district. In September 1942, Maher volunteered for the Australian Imperial Force and was among 120 men from the regiment who were transferred to Queensland's 11th Motor Regiment. The 11th Motor Regiment spent much of 1943 based in Gympie, training and carrying out various exercises. In early July, a large draft of 10 officers and 360 other ranks were transferred to the veteran 7th Division's 2nd 10th Battalion, then at Ravenshoe on the Atherton Tableland. A South Australian unit, the 2nd 10th Battalion, had served during the siege of Tobruk in the Middle East in 1941, before moving to Papua in 1942, fighting first at Milne Bay and then in the bloody beachhead battles of Boona and St Andrew in December 1942 and January 1943. According to the 2nd 10th Battalion's unit historian, the infantrymen christened the Queenslanders and New South Welshmen the 40,000 Horsemen. In August 1943, the 2nd 10th Battalion returned to Papua, initially stationed at Port Moresby. From September, units from the 7th Division were heavily committed to the Allied offensive in New Guinea, capturing Lae and moving into the Markham and Ramu valleys. On New Year's Day 1944, the 2nd 10th Battalion began moving by air to Dumpu. The battalion took up positions on the narrow razorback ridges of the Ramu Valley. The 2nd 10th Battalion spent most of January patrolling and becoming acclimatised to the conditions and terrain. During this time, the Australian forces planned to take the feature known as Shaggy Ridge and clear the surrounding territory. The feature was taken, but in later fighting, on the 27th of January, Maher was killed as his platoon observed a Japanese position consisting of pillboxes and trenches. By the time the area was cleared on the 1st of February, it had cost the battalion 16 men killed or died of wounds and 27 wounded. Noel Maher was 20 years old. Today, his remains lie buried in Lae War Cemetery in New Guinea. He is one of 6 men from the Canberra region, remembered on the 2nd 10th Battalion Memorial Cairn in Edison Park, Woden. He's also commemorated here on the Roll of Honour on my left, along with almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Noel Daniel Maher, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn, at the going down of the sun. And in the morning we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, had thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening.